think Netflix really hit a home run here.
They did.
They easily could have not. It could have been a cash grab, right, for the actors and for this, for the director and for hey, who's not going to watch this at least once? But they really, again, it's not perfect movie making by any means, but it's exactly what you want it to be. It's
satisfying.
It's a satisfying callback to the original movies that were so beloved.
Here we are. It's the Untitled Film Project Podcast, and today we're talking about the Netflix streaming Beverly Hills Cop movie, AXEL F. Axel Foley returns to Beverly Hills after his daughter's life is threatened, and he works with some of his old pals back in 90210.
Watch your ass out there, okay?
I'm gonna be fine. They love me in Beverly Hills.
Detective Foley, you ever read your own files? Shootouts, starting the piece, a lot.
Please tell me you didn't get arrested again.
Twice, but I broke out.
And stick around, because we're all going to answer the big question.
Which, on this episode, is what film from back in the day, it can't be a film that was made 5 years ago, you got to put some decades behind it.
Okay.
What film from back in the day would you like to revisit with a dated, sequel? Again,
Present
dated
day.
comes from the fact that it's like 20, 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
So what movie would you like to see a sequel made out of present day from a movie decades ago?
Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Were we yearning for this movie? What did you think when you found out Netflix was dropping this thing?
I was not yearning for this, and as a matter of fact, it's a lot like Indiana Jones in the sense that the Temple of Doom, Crystal Skull comes. I've totally forgotten the movie came out because I've blocked it from my memory. The Crystal Skull comes out, and it just, slaughters the franchise.
It just made you just go.
Such a stain.
I'm washing my hands.
Yes, that it makes you kind of forget, we're done with that, right? This was kind of like that after Beverly Hills Cop 3, right? Beverly Hills Cop 3, super dud. There's reports on set that Eddie Murphy wasn't even in a good mental space at the time. So for him to bring comedy was like pulling teeth, and it was just not overall good. So you fast forward 30 years. That's unbelievable. So you put 3 full decades between the release days of those movies. And here we have AXEL F on Netflix. It's everything I could have wanted. The comedy is there. The gang is back together for the most part. Bronson Pinchot he's hilarious as always.
Yes.
The story was, it's not groundbreaking, but it was fun. It was a fun story. It was an interesting wrinkle. I really enjoyed AXEL F on Netflix. I think it's a perfect streaming comedy.
It fit the Beverly Hills Cop template of okay, this is what I really liked about the first one, and it gave me all that. I love that they brought in for the soundtrack to the movie. They brought in all the successful songs from all the previous movies.
Yeah.
Seem to be in this one, and they fit perfectly. They gave you that perfect vibe to be in the right headspace to watch this again, and then they executed. So I really had fun.
Yeah, I think Jim's right on with the vibe. The vibe was right for the nostalgia because that's what they're doing. They're serving nostalgia in this movie, so just had to hit those certain points of, is this the sass there? Is the rogue nature of Axel Foley there? Yes. Is the comedy there? Are there references to the Aid to the Gap, too? They do make references to, it's been a long time, man, since we've seen you. Is it the still thing where they're starting in Detroit, and his whole life in Detroit, that something has to wrangle him back to Beverly Hills? Yes, all the little elements are there, and that's what makes it perfect for streaming. Having this been a theatrical release, I think we might feel a little different.
Sure.
People would feel different if they're spending a lot more money to go to the theater experience, but for a streaming movie, this is what we wanted. So we can just sit down at home, relax, have some nostalgia, have some action and comedy, and have that character back in our lives. The expectations were lower because of how it's being released, meaning that it had a much more successful chance of meeting those expectations of what we want out of this movie. And I think they did. I had fun watching it. That's all I needed. I needed the nostalgia with Judge Reynolds back, by having Paul Reiser back, adding Kevin Bacon as the villain as well, getting Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You get some acting chops.
I love the addition of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was an excellent pairing. for a lot of this movie with Axel Foley. He was really good.
Especially when he starts going rogue himself.
Yes.
And fitting into that nature. They make the joke about going to a strip club and everything, too. So all those little callbacks were there, but they weren't forced callbacks either. They fit kind of naturally within the dialogue, which is what they needed to do to just stroke that nostalgia, is don't force these little Easter eggs in there. Just have it naturally fit in, just like the music did. Music still fit in naturally. It created the right vibe for the film for us to just have fun.
You bring up Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He brings up in a line of dialogue the 1993 Beverly Hills Cop 3 and the disappointment of it, where he's listing. He's like, man, have you looked at your sheet? It's long. He goes, 1984, which is, of course, the original movie, right?
Yeah.
This, then 1987, this. And he goes, 1993. Not your best hour, or something, not your finest work, or whatever it was. And it was just enough to where, if you know, it's like, oh my God, that was a horrible movie. You just put that on its face. That's awesome.
We acknowledged it.
Yeah, self-deprecating, so great. So there was so many things to love about this. I disagree. I would have loved to have seen this in a theater with like-minded people, with a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds sitting around in the theater who are there for that.
In that circumstance,
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a limited release like Glass Onion.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
I'll do that. Yes.
Put it off-
you
put it
go
off for a couple
we're
of
open
weeks.
for 1 week only. Maybe it's even a showing a night. Maybe it's not even like 5 or 6 showings.
Limited release. Yeah.
7 o'clock Monday through Sunday on this. Or, well, I guess it'd be Friday through Thursday. This this is where you can see it here and then it's going to hit Netflix the next week.
Totally been fine with that.
I would have because laughter, as we know, is infectious.
Totally.
And if you have, again, the demographic you're trying to hit, right, are people that are, my age, slightly older, right? So in that 40 to 60 range, who remember it like the back of their hand, the original ones that were so funny, they got that nostalgia. You put all of us in a room, and we're all in the same wavelength.
That's right. Now, I want to throw out, if you picked up on this, or if I'm reading too deeply into it, we're going to jump around probably in this episode too. The Shrek reference. With onions and layers.
Donkey?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
It mentioned layers and onions, and I was like, oh, they fit a Shrek reference in here too.
All right, now
I did not
now
catch
I was waiting for a parfait, but no, they went with onions.
All right,
It was good.
So
little
that's
things like that.
That's the rewatchability factor and the ease of being able to just turn it on, whenever you want.
Right.
So that's awesome. So I can go back and look for that. That I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I did not catch that either. So funny. But again, like the story was cool. It was fun. The characters were great.
Right. The bad guys were cheesy.
Bad guys were cheesy.
You need them to be.
Yes.
For this kind
Just
of movie.
believable enough to where it puts it together.
They just got to be real dumb, and they are.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Bacon played that role perfectly. Of like, you kind of knew he was a dirty cop
Right
pretty
off the
quick.
bat.
Of course.
Yeah.
They weren't hiding it.
Exactly.
From the moment he hits the screen, just the smirk on his face.
They even introduced the idea, red herring, right, that Taggart could be dirty.
Oh, right.
Chief Taggart. Now he's the chief. Now he doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
I'm glad they didn't go that direction.
No, so am I. But I'm saying, he's Axel questions him, and then Taggart comes back with, "How could you even say that to me after all these years of friendship?"
Yeah.
And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character comes in and goes, "I guess you don't want to solve this one, do you, Chief?" Like it just kind of that extra push, like
Right.
It's just
maybe he's in on it.
Chief is just tired. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. But they introduced that they gave you Kevin Bacon early, and all the red flags are like, this is what he's the villain, okay?
But it's Taggart also.
Right, and is there an added wrinkle that Taggart's in on it too?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Louis Guzman, who always... He's just...
Great bit part.
He's choice for those kinds of roles.
Yes.
And yes, the action does get ridiculous. It starts off with, hilarious, driving the snowplow through the streets of Detroit. And not to mention all the funny stuff at the hockey game, was just killing me. It was
great.
just so funny. But then when they get to the ridiculousness of a helicopter flying down the street and this is like going over cars and doing, it was so dumb, but perfect for this kind of movie. That's what this movie is about.
I think Netflix really hit a home run here.
They did.
They easily could have not. It could have been a cash grab, right, for the actors and for this, for the director and for hey, who's not going to watch this at least once? But they really, again, it's not perfect movie making by any means, but it's exactly what you want it to be. It's
satisfying.
It's a satisfying callback to the original movies that were so beloved.
And you have buy-in because Eddie Murphy is a producer on this one too.
Yes.
Right.
So there's buy-in from him, and we put Jerry Bruckheimer behind it. There's money that can be thrown as well too. So.
Theory.
Yeah. And Netflix really has like you can critically, you can say whatever you want, but they have aligned themselves and given huge paychecks to certain people like Adam Sandler and Eddie Murphy. And they've said, like, we're going to do a bunch of projects with you. And they have chosen really well for the most part. And like, this is the thing that they go into the Netflix board of directors and say, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, we did it. We were right. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Let's find out what everybody scored this thing as. Let's go Justin Bradford.
All right. I mean, it was a lot of fun. That's what it needs to be. There's a lot of movies that come out during the summer that you're like, as long as I had a lot of fun, I'm good with it. That's what needs to happen. There's a nostalgia aspect to this. I remember just being a kid and watching these movies, and you hear the and then another. Thanks, Family Guy. Yeah. But just hear those themes, and like I keep going back to the word that Jim threw out in the beginning, which is vibe, and the vibe was there throughout the entire movie, and that's all I wanted to do was just to lose myself for an hour and a half or so in this movie and just have a lot of fun watching another fun, dumb action movie while revisiting characters that we knew and that we hoped would show up with a okay storyline. There's always a dirty cop storyline that's out there just to be, explored.
Just helps move this thing along.
Move it along, everything like that is totally fine. Better than the third one, of course. Apparently, there's another one in development.
Good.
So with Bruckheimer and Eddie Murphy. Good. Apparently, they announced that in June of this year.
They have me until it sucks.
Right, yeah.
Honestly.
Like you can keep exploring this
until it sucks.
Especially if it's for streaming, too. Like you can keep making these if it's for streaming and everything, because there's just different expectation levels for what we want out of the fun and nostalgia out of it, too. Yeah. So I don't know if I was missing it or if I was just expecting it. I was just waiting for the laugh.
Yeah.
Which we didn't get. That signature.
I agree.
But I'm assuming that was on purpose.
I'm sure it was.
They're holding it back for the next one.
Holding it back, or
he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Or he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Right.
He's growing up.
He's
matured out of that as well. Because the comedy and the sass of the humor was 100% still there, and the antics were still there. And
even when he starts doing an accent, he goes, you know what, I'm just too tired.
Yeah, at the hotel. That's exactly what I was going to reference. At the hotel, he's like, no, I just need a room. Like, he's tired. He's growing up, and they acknowledge that as well, too. I like it when movies are at least more self-aware, when they're bringing back historical characters, like legendary characters. Acknowledge that you're older. Don't keep trying to act young. I think the only one that gets a pass then is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
In some of his movies, even though he's old, he still acts young. Totally fine.
Yep.
But movies like this, you have a grown adult child. You have to reference these things as well in what you're going through. So they do address some of those.
It changes the stakes.
It changes everything.
It gives him it breathes like another dimension into his character.
So stakes are different. Everything. I enjoyed it. 7.5.
All right.
Oh.
Gover, what did you think?
I thought Taylor Page, as much as she was fine, I thought she didn't bring any energy to the role. And so she played the stewing child, the strange child, very well.
Right.
But even when there was a funny moment, or when she picks up on his vibe that he's throwing down at the club that he wants to get access to the roof on, and she comes in, she's still kind of monotone. There's not a whole lot of energy that she brings to the scene. So I thought she was, of all the casting everywhere, I thought she was the weakest link. Doesn't mean she's bad. I just think she was the weakest link. It's great to see the gang back together again. Taggart, and Judge Reinhold, and Eddie Murphy in the back seat, in the last scene and all that. It's so fun. It does everything it's supposed to do as far as hit nostalgia points of all the two original movies, especially. Again, it pokes fun at itself with the not your best moment, like in the 1993 one. But if you're not a fan of the originals, not that this is for them, but if you're not, but my son is a great example. Okay, my son's 12. He absolutely could watch this, by the way. Right? So there's maybe some language, but there's nothing crazy and risque about it at all. Right? Unlike the other ones where there's like a strip club scene and he's got to put dollars in her G-string, like all like that. That's probably a little bit. He's probably about a year away from that. But this one he could totally watch. I don't think he'd care. So that's points off for me in the sense that you can't. True. You got. There's always you always strive to achieve that. It's perfect for nostalgia and it introduces a new audience. I thought Ghostbusters Afterlife, for example, did a great job at that. It was entertaining by itself. You didn't have to know.
Because they introduced the young cast as well with that, so to get people to connect.
Right. But on this one, I think it's just a movie.
It wasn't made for that purpose, though. It was definitely made. It was made for millennials and Gen X.
Absolutely true. Which is why I wanted to see it in a theater. Unlimited
for
run,
that
because it's like, okay, like we all know what we're here for.
Yeah.
Let's all go enjoy it together. right. So again, a streaming project, I think it's fine. I think it's a perfect streaming project for Netflix. I think I wrote about that on the Untitled Film Project Pod.com, actually, how it's a perfect Netflix streaming project. I'm so glad they did it. They have me until it sucks. 6.0.
Okay. I really was smiling before I even had my first laugh. You know what I mean? Like, okay, just opening the movie and like you see Eddie Murphy come on screen in that character. I'm smiling, right? So he's already got me primed for when he's going to do something funny.
Because he loves hockey.
Or say something funny, because he loves hockey.
No, he's driving down the street. You, Foley! And he's like,
yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And then you give the whole, like, why wouldn't you assume I was a big hockey fan? I love the Red Wings.
I get it, because...
yeah, it was, and then of course it was, that guy was exactly right. He's not there for hockey. So, like, I really enjoyed it. It's fun.
Winnipeg black guy.
Right.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's scenes that you're gonna like see the second time and go, oh my god, I forgot that was so funny. But I do agree with you completely. Go over that. You have to have a baked in love for the original.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen any of them, you're going to go, what's the big deal?
Right.
Man, that's okay.
It'll be funny. It just won't be your...
Yeah. It's just not going to... It's just... You're not going to come out of there going, ah! Mm-hmm. So, like, as a fan and for the nostalgia, the sentiment, and wanting to laugh like I did when I saw the original, it hit all its marks, and I was skeptical going in. Is this movie special? No. I mean, literally, you could... it's a template of what we loved before. It's just executed really well. So I can't give it a really high score, but I can tell you I just really had so much fun with it. So, and it really is. Are you a Beverly Hills Cop fan? Great movie. Are you not, and you're not familiar? This isn't going to do anything for you. It's not going to move your needle at all. So I'm going to give it a 6.5.
You know what I will say? This, because Netflix has brought back 1 and 2, obviously. Mm-hmm. I didn't see 3 when I searched for it, by the way, which I think is really funny.
They're hiding it.
Yeah, but they clearly bought the rights to the front, right? And they're streaming 1 and 2. This will make people go back and watch number 1.
100%.
And that will still be the pinnacle of the franchise, for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, just like what Marvel's done to make us go back and watch Age of Ultron, Gover's favorite.
Bad Boys has made people go back and watch the original Bad Boys.
No strings on me.
At this point in every Untitled Film Project podcast, we ask you the big question. And it is today coming from Jeremy Gover.
The big question on this episode is, what film back in the day, so we're talking decades now, you got to separate some decades here, would you most like to revisit in a dated sequel? That is the question for today. Jim, you actually spent... Well, let me set this up first. History of the World Part 2 came out recently. There was decades between those. Spaceballs 2 is rumored, right? That's obviously that came out in the 80s.
Mel Brooks,
phenomenal movie. Ghostbusters Afterlife, you could count that, even though there was the female remake that didn't really go over well.
They also don't acknowledge that.
Right. That's kind of why I counted, actually. 'Cause Afterlife it's a direct sequel to 2,
right?
Which came out in
within
89.
the franchise. Yes.
Yeah, so that's one. Beetlejuice is coming out pretty soon. That's Beetlejuice, right? So that was in the 80s also. Yada yada yada. There's a lot of these that are coming out, and it's really fun to revisit the old stuff. AXEL F is a great example of that. 30 years between the third, didn't do that well, to this one. So what movie from back in the day would you love to see a sequel about, kind of revisited? Jim.
Okay, he's already done it within the last couple of years.
Okay.
Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick, great example of revisiting a beloved movie and giving people what they want. I'm going to also use another Tom Cruise movie. This is the movie before Top Gun, that I think put him on the map as far as for young people and made him a phenomenon. I would like to see what's happening present day, Risky Business. If you're not familiar with Risky Business, it's a Tom Cruise movie. He's a high school kid, and like his parents go away. He has this massive party at his house, but he's supposed to get into a great college, and this massive party that gets out of control puts everything in jeopardy. He eventually, the movie ends. Everything's okay. He gets to go to the big Ivy League school that he wanted to go to, but it's a funny, exciting, romantic in some ways movie. I want to know what happened to his character after he went to school, and now where is he? What is he doing? Does he still have every once in a while you gotta say what the or is he like a buttoned up give me that movie, write it really well. I don't want to know what happened to him, but I want to watch the movie that you make about it.
All right. Bradford, can you challenge Risky Business?
I don't know. So my honorable mention, because I've mentioned this before, but I still really want it to happen. What's on page 47 of the Book of Secrets with National Treasure? So
great answer.
I really want to see that. Now, granted, that's only 17 years ago, but it's still a long time ago.
I count that. Yeah.
And there's been talks about it being in development. They did that series on Disney Plus, which was
Yeah.
But I still really want.
Just people love
it. They
it.
tease so much. Like enough to where there's a clamoring of people that still want to have that explored. You can have movies wrap with having a little bit of things of what they could have done in the future, things like that. That's totally fine. There wasn't enough closure when you tease something like that of what could all be on page 47 of all the secrets in U.S. history. That's one I want to be explored. My kicker, though.
This is the one you really want.
Rotten Tomatoes scores for this movie. This is from 1986.
Okay.
13% on critics.
Okay.
38% audience.
So not even the audience thought it was good.
But I think there's potential with this character given recent developments and everything. And that is Howard the Duck.
Oh,
wow.
Man. Oh, no, like in the day, that was known as like one of the biggest flops ever.
Yep. Leah Thompson is in it. I just remember like there's awkward scenes as a kid to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Very... But I think with Marvel now, because Howard the Duck is a Marvel character.
Yes, it is. And he's in a film.
He's in the films. He's in the animated series. There's enough there, I think. If you did it right, it could be fun. I know people are marveled out.
Yeah.
But even if it's in future time, that if you did it right, it'd be really fun, even if it's for streaming only. Fun to explore Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Because that movie bombed so bad. Even if you brought Leah Thompson back, that'd be hilarious too. But that's what I'm going with, is Howard T. Duck.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
That's
You didn't expect that one, did you?
No, those were both like really good ideas. So Jeremy Gover, answer your own question here.
I'm about to throw the ball to myself and smack it to right field. You ready for this?
All right.
Best in Show.
Oh.
I want to see
Oh my God, one of my favorite movies of all time.
a revisited Best in Show. What? Obviously, all the pets are dead. I mean, obviously. But the characters could still be showing dogs. Oh my God. So what are they doing? What is Jane Lynch's character doing?
Right.
What is
Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy doing? Is his son involved? Catherine O'Hara is still doing movies, obviously. She's hilarious. What is she? They could all come
Parker
back together.
Posey.
Parker Posey.
There's so many.
Oh, it's a laundry list of who's who. Most of which are supporting actors. You don't really carry movies.
It's an ensemble
but it's
movie.
an ensemble. Yeah, for sure. Best in Show. I would love to see still Best in Show or something like that, or Best in Show again, or whatever they would call it.
Bestest in Show.
Bestest in Show.
I think we all have three great ideas.
I agree.
These are three
They're really good.
wonderful ideas in their own aspects.
I want to hear everybody else's because there was one that like popped into my head while I was like listening and thinking about it too. And I'll just give you a clue. If you know what I'm referencing, this would be my backup answer. So put it in the comments or hit us up on social media. I'm just going to give you 2 words as the clue to let's come back to it. Where are they now? Let's see a present day. Anyone?
Bueller.
Yeah. Oh, you just gave it away.
Oh, so I thought you were asking.
No, I wanted to.
It's enormous setup, and you still answer the question.
You know why? It's my fault. Because when you
love it.
when you were queuing that up, I started laughing because all I could think of is Christopher Guest going. He's driving that RV with the bloodhound. He's like, and I could just see it in my head. I was laughing. I didn't even hear what you said for the first 10 seconds, and that's what threw me off. Yeah, pine nuts, walnuts. Red walnuts, white walnuts.
You're forgiven.
So
because
funny.
Christopher Guest bought your way out of prison
I'm so
on this
sorry.
one.
That's why I was distracted for long enough to miss the joke.
Let us know what you think. Answer the question. If you weren't paying attention to what Gover said and you'd still like to take a guess, let us know. Hit us up on social media. And what's our website where everything lives?
Our website.
Okay.
Untitled Film Project Podcast. If you go to Google, you don't even need the web address. Just type in Untitled Film Project. You're going to find everything.
Actually, if you're watching on YouTube, it's right here.
Yeah, see, why do we have to? We do not have to boomer it up here. You're intelligent enough to go find it yourself. Untitled Film Project. That's all you got to type in anywhere, and we're going to pop up. We're big enough for that.
Are you trying to teach millennials and Gen Xers how to do their own stuff?
No, I'm trying to teach you two because you're expecting me to say everything word for word. When you put it up as a pop-up, you can put it in anywhere you want on social media. We're going to pop
and
up.
if you're listening, that you might not know.
I don't need to tell you the entire handle for everything. I just don't need to do that.
Just like, maybe.
Gover makes it easy and great with his editing to make it click, boom, there you go.
All right, because he's so good at his job.
I don't need to be good at mine.
You refuse to be good at yours.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.